Well, good evening, YouTube. Did we say the words desert dogs enough for you tonight? I certainly hope so. You didn't get the results you wanted, so hopefully we gave you some entertainment on the broadcast. 5-2 loss. San Jose was trying to make it 3 in a row. They had won 2 in a row, and Arizona had won only 2 of their prior 8 games. Arizona is in an interesting spot. They've been hovering right around the outside of the playoff picture looking in, and now they're being chased a little bit by LA, hopefully chased a little bit by the Sharks. They want in. I'm not so sure they're ever going to get totally in based on the top 4 teams, who they are, the way they've been playing. I guess if anybody has to come out of that top 4, for me, it actually might be St. Louis. But anyway, that's not why we're here. We're here to discuss tonight's Sharks' unfortunate 5-2 loss as I set my 10-minute timer. Full disclaimer, I only set this because if I don't, I'll go 30 minutes. And even when I set it for 10, it really means probably 20. It'll go off in 9 minutes and 44 seconds. So let's talk about this. The trend lately of the Sharks to... Why am I got to look over here now. There you go. All right, you dummy. The trend of the Sharks to get outshot like they did in their prior 2 wins, but still win the game. 23-42 is what they got outshot in their first game against the Kings. And then 44-28 is what they got outshot by in their last win. And in the first period of tonight's game, now they trailed on the scoreboard, did not score first, made a defensive mistake team-wise that allowed Christian Dvorak to get his 10th goal in the season, 6:20 into the contest, but they got outshot 12-4 in the first period. I'm not always here to say that shot totals are everything or they're always super meaningful or, tell the story of the game, but in this case, 4-12? It's just you didn't have much going from the jump in this game, and I think players knew it. Rudolf Balcers in his intermission interview said, look, you just got to play in their end more. I mean, didn't have enough, opportunities, and game was a little bit one-sided in that way. But you kind of got the feeling that, all right, shot total's not everything. They'll find a way to win. It's what they have been doing. It was kind of part of that recipe. Otherwise than that, wasn't a poor first period at all. Second period, you come out a couple minutes in, 1:54 in, you're killing a penalty. Mario Ferraro's in the box, 2 minutes for holding. Always unfortunate to take a penalty on the first shift of the period. 39 ticks in, number 38's in the box. And then Tomas Hertl picks off a pass, goes the other way, 10th goal on the season. And that's another storyline that we highlighted tonight on television. Tomas Hertl, since coming back from COVID, not just a false positive, literally the guy had severe, reasonable COVID symptoms. It did not sound pleasant at all. And it's not just your body fighting through that. It's a hockey player going through all that and then having to come back and compete at the highest level among the world's most elite athletes. And Hertl, honestly has performed quite well. I think he's got points in almost every single game except for one since he's come back. I should have wrote down those exact stats. Come on, Brazil. Everybody makes a mistake here tonight. But you can go back and look at the stats for yourself. Ever since coming back, Tomas Hertl has been one of the biggest offensive producers for this team. So I just have to say I'm not pleasantly surprised, but it is a nice storyline as of late. The Hertl and his family went through what they did, and he's come back and not only not missed a beat, but actually even increase the output. And then I think the real backbreaker tonight didn't turn out to be the game-winning goal, but the Sharks turned it over, and Nick Schmaltz was right out front. Ilya Lyubushkin tossed it over his way, and the fillet. I love the term filleting. It's the new description of a tip where the blade angle is the ultimate decider on where that puck is going. So Schmaltz is 8th on the season, and again, this within the final 2 minutes of the second period. So just in a middle frame where you equalized it, you did it shorthanded. 1-1 would have felt great going into the third period like that. But instead, 2-1. And even then, like, that's fine. So you've already kind of overcome a first period where you certainly didn't get chances, didn't necessarily play great, but you're right in this thing. And even 2-1 through 40, you're right in this thing. And then wouldn't you know it, Arizona scores the first 3 goals of the third period. 7:48, 9:08, and then what did Kessel score, like a couple minutes after that? So Dvorak got his second, Dryden Hunt second of the season, and then Phil Kessel playing in his 1100th NHL game. Phil Kessel was, and it was so long ago since the Sharks played Arizona to start this season, but he was a monster in those 2 games. I think we said after the first 2 games, who would have expected that, like, of all the players on Arizona, that Phil Kessel would have been the guy to really make you pay in that series, but he absolutely was. So let me take a quick look at the old. Whoops, give me 1 second here. I made a mistake there. At the old live chat, and I have to push the right sequence of buttons to make this happen, and I think we are there right now. All right, hope they play Dubnyk tomorrow. I absolutely think that's probably in the plans. Regardless, and you know what? That actually brings me to the other point I should have already made. Did Martin Jones play poorly tonight? I don't think so. If you're going to ask me, did he have a great game? I don't think anybody's great allowing 5, but I agree with Moonglow. Jones made some epic saves. He really did. And some of the opportunities, like the Dvorak's second goal, I mean, it was a turnover right in front of Martin Jones, had like half a second to react and try and stop that puck. I appreciate all the comments here. In fact, these were made before I even started talking about Jones here. I don't think this loss was Jones's fault at all. And again, that's to separate. Like, could a player have had a better game? Of course. But, like, could we all have been better at our day today? Yes. I'm just hypothetically speaking here. But I don't think it was a poor showing at all. It wasn't great. Wasn't poor. Joseph, greetings from Australia. Joseph, this always gets me excited to hear from people watching the live stream. Halfway around the world in this case. Totally different continent. The only consistency I'm seeing this season is Brody carrying. We got to get this comment. You know what? Here, I'm gonna do this so I can make a screenshot of it later. Carrying Brownie in pregame live and intermission live. The flow is looking good. Joseph, I really appreciate you saying that. And more importantly, thanks for watching the shows, and thanks for watching here on the YouTube stream. I really do appreciate the support. At least we didn't have any too many men penalties. Yeah, that had been, especially like last weekend against St. Louis, that was a way too common trend. I think we will see Curtis Gabriel in the lineup next game, and it's not to say that there was any one particular thing that needed sorting out tonight, although why is Radim Šimek always the victim of a questionable and dangerous hit? I'm really trying to piece that one together. I hated seeing him go into the boards the way he did, left the ice in what did not look to be the best shape. I know he's a tough guy. It's just really, he seems to be a magnet for that. And I feel frustrated for him in that. So I don't know if there's anything to handle, if that's part of Gabriel's game, or of just being a tougher player out there on the ice. One thing that Curtis Gabriel doesn't get the notoriety for, that he's also been doing, is just flat out laying hits. Put the fights aside for a second. He has hit more than any other Shark in, limited playing time this season. Oh, you caught COVID in New York while watching the Sharks? Wow. I'm sorry to hear that. And it's a long time ago at this point, so you're here. That's great. That's amazing to know that. I did not. John, thank you so much for hopping on the super chat. You're frequent in that way, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you regardless, but especially for that. As I always say, the super chat goes into funding this place, which is all on my own, and improving this place, which there's always room for improvement in the YouTube studio. It's never good when a team that struggles for offense puts 5 on you. And I think, too, Arizona's scoring in every period is one part of that equation. And Arizona scoring 3 in the third is kind of it's not to say that it's always the third for the Sharks, whether it's the second or, even the first sometimes. They never really tend to dig a big hole in the first, but so many second and third periods have gone so south on the Sharks this season. The big period is something they have fallen victim to a lot this year. And what's a big period? I mean, you allow 2, that's going to happen. But to me, if it's 3 or 4 in a period, which it does seem like it's happened quite a bit this year. And I don't know how to attribute that to something, certainly how to fix it, how to get away from it. But I really do feel like that has been a negative trend of all the things we talk about. And another one is the Sharks have taken, I want to say on average penalty minutes per game. I think the Sharks have the 4th most penalty minutes per game in the league. That's something we don't really talk about a whole lot. Lack of discipline, spending time in the box. Their kill is usually worthwhile. Like, it always takes care of the task. But again, tonight, couple penalties, which obviously, put the Sharks in vulnerable situations. 2, 1. See, it's pretty loud. Like, if I don't know that's coming, I jump out of my seat. But I saw it. All right, I'll get to a few more comments here. Jones on fire tonight. Not everything is his fault. And again, I just think the best way to say it, if he stands on his head, if he's beyond human tonight, he keeps him in the game. But how many times are you going to give the opponent grade A chances? I don't think Jones was bad, just didn't have good luck. I just think I look at help. How much help did he get? Ooh, did Brownie play in the NHL? No, you know what? He never did. He was, that's, what? I can't rip the guy. Like, I love to chirp Brownie, and I know you're setting me up on that one, Big Bird. At least I hope you are. Of course he did. But I can't cut him on that level. I can't take that away from him. I won't do it. With Jones finally finding his groove in net, how do you think the Sharks will decide between him and Dubnyk for that top spot next season? Look, I got to be honest with you. I think they're going to fully reevaluate everything they're doing going into a next season. And Martin Jones has several more years under contract. Devin Dubnyk will be an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year. So that alone is part of the decision-making process. Look, as far as other options, things that might present themselves, I don't know yet. There are some internal options I know, but goaltending, one of the several things that are going to have to evaluate and establish this offseason. Very excited for A's opening day next Thursday. I'm with you on that. I will be there at the Coliseum for that. For the amount of money and number of superstars, you would think defense would be our last problem. And I just want to go back to this. We talk about defense, and I think the initial impression is it's defensemen, which it largely is, but not entirely is. Team defense, all 5 skaters on the ice, plus the goalie. And here's another thing, by the way, it just crossed my mind as I was talking. The Sharks, how often do they get 2 goals and none of them at even strength? One shorty. And Patrick Marleau was his goal was scored on the power play. 564 career goals for Patty. That puts him tied for 23rd all time with Joe Nieuwendyk and Matt Sundin. So, surprise, another milestone for Patty. Like that always happens. And the other milestone tonight was for Tomas Hertl. His goal puts him at 300 career NHL points. Thought the Coyotes' 4th goal was goalie interference. You know what? So did Curtis, the Dryden Hunt goal out front. And that's another situation. One of the penalties the Sharks were forced into taking was due to the coach's challenge. I don't necessarily always disagree with that rule, but it's hard to take when, even the review is up for interpretation and it still doesn't go your way. And now you face something additional beyond that. Julio, keep waiting for Carlson to rush up the ice and score a goal. Look, I don't think it's as noticeable now, but when he came back from the injury, the lower body injury, the groin injury, a couple weeks ago, He looked crisp and fresh right out of that. And I think that has tailed off a little bit. I wonder where he's going to end up at the end of this season. I said, as a bold prediction going into this year, I thought he could be a point per game player if healthy. And I'm not making excuses. I'm wondering now if something has cropped up again, or I've no real reason, but he looked electric in his first couple games back from injury. And I don't know that he's just at that same place right now. Not suggesting he's injured himself again or hurt, whatever. I'm just saying it's just not as noticeable as it was before. If the Sharks don't make the playoffs, Doug Wilson mentioned to you a reset and not a rebuild, but do you see any significant moves the Sharks could make to put them in a better place next season? And I think, Dalton, yes, that's a great question, actually, and you're very well educated because you use the right words there, a reset, not a rebuild. That's what he said, very specifically. I think the number one thing, when you say significant moves, I think the specific thing is you're going to have to free up cap space. I mean, the Sharks have been on the upper tier of spending for years, and they're going to have to figure out if they want flexibility and if they're really going to change the look of this team. To do that, you're going to need, the contractual options to do it. And as of right now, there's there's more limitations than there are opportunities to change your look. Burns Ferrero, Carlson Knyzhov, Vlasic Šimek. Why am I slurring all the pronunciations of names I say all the time? Brazil Hannon, the great SJ Sharks pairings. You think I'm a D-man, Joseph? Is that what you think? You don't think I'm up front? I'm a sniper. Well, I guess, you can be a D-man sniper. Just get me on the one-timer on the point. Yeah, there you go. Here's another point. This one wasn't highlighted. Look where Dallas is. Can we trade for Pavs, please? No, look, Dallas coming off a Stanley Cup final appearance last year, and they're in basically a similar spot to where the Sharks are. Let me get to one more question here. Does Dubnyk get dealt? I don't know. Free agent this offseason. One more year on the contract, has played well enough this year, beyond what the stats say. I don't know that the stats are entirely telling of how he's played with the eye test, but it's a possibility. I think if any team out there is looking for a really solid backup option, kind of like, remember the Sharks in 2016 when they went out and got James Reimer, had a feeling they were going to make this push, and, Martin Jones was playing out of his mind, and adding Reimer was kind of like, all right, now you're really set at this position. And I think Dubnyk would be that guy for a lot of different teams. He said he's happy in San Jose, really doesn't want to move. But, I don't know what else he's supposed to say when asked that question in an interview situation. I mean, would you like to go compete for the cup somewhere? Maybe even if you're not the number one guy? I don't know. It's an interesting dilemma, and I think the same goes for Patrick Marleau. Look, we're all, as Sharks people, we're all selfishly hoping that Patty can break Gordie Howe's record in a teal sweater, which it would be, I think, in Las Vegas, right? But I'll say this regarding Patrick Marleau, and I think I'm actually going to make this the final thought here. If you really like the guy and you respect him and you appreciate him and you know what he does not have in his career right now, a Stanley Cup to his name, and if another team out there is actually really interested and wants to pursue this and wants to give the Sharks something back in return, I think you give Patty the professional courtesy. Let's say Team X wants Patty. All right, Doug goes to Patty, says, hey, look, I got an offer. You want to do this? Okay, yeah. If it's yes, I'll do it. I'll do whatever you want to do. You want to stay here? We won't deal you. You want to go? It's understandable. I understand it for Patty. Again, what would I prefer? On April 19th, he breaks the record as a member of the Sharks. But if it is somewhere else because it opens another door for him to chase the Stanley Cup, totally get it too. I would have to sit with it. It's just the nature of this season. So, all right. Thanks everybody for checking out the live stream here on this is a Friday night. Sorry, I'm looking for my sound effect there. I have lost track of days. Well, weeks. I've definitely lost track of weeks, but half the time I don't even know what day it is. That's not good. Like I know days that there's either Sharks games or not. It's pretty much all I know. Are they on the road or at home? Am I in the studio or am I at SAP Center? Game or not. That's pretty much all I know. When you work in sports broadcasting, like weekends are not necessarily a big deal anymore because you're working. Weekends are more like Wednesday, Thursday off. So anyway, I really appreciate all of you being here. And I guess the good news is we get to try this again tomorrow. Sharks couldn't beat the Coyotes tonight. 5-2 is the final. Maybe we'll be back here tomorrow on a Saturday talking about a victory. Until then, be safe, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.